If you're taking A-level chemistry and you're struggling to improve your grades or you're looking for some last-minute tips, then this video is for you. I'll be sharing tips to drastically improve your grades no matter if you have a year, a month, or a week to prepare for your exams. So keep watching to learn more. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Wesley and I'm a final year high school student and recent Cambridge Medic offer holder. I've recently finished self-studying the international A-levels in chemistry, biology, and maths and receiving an A-star for all of them. Chemistry is actually a pretty straightforward subject when it comes to studying, but it is a really concept-heavy subject. So the first step is to know the concepts inside out, which I did, but there was a time when I struggled to get higher marks. That's why in this video I'll be focusing on exam skills and studying tips that can help you make that jump to A-star. The first tip is to generalize your reactions. Organic chemistry has a tendency to intimidate many chemistry candidates. You'd think you're halfway there once you finish a carbonyl compound, but then in come the acid reactions and your Grignard reactions and the different reagents and you get all flustered. The easiest way I found to remember all these different reactions is to categorize them based on their reaction types or mechanisms and then convert them into word equations. So for example, with electrophilic substitution, instead of remembering each step for each reactant, I generalize them into forming the electrophile, attack, forming the product, and regenerating the catalyst. By doing so, I don't have to remember every single reactant except for the really specific ones. As long as I know what catalysts are usable, then I can just substitute whatever reactant is given to me in the questions into my generalized word equations, ready for every scenario. Tip 2 is to be careful of tricky question words. One problem that all students must have encountered at some point are careless mistakes. When taking a tedious exam like A-level chemistry, it's very easy to get weirded out and miss out on some of the tricky question words. Those few marks might cost you your star, so I'm here to help you recognize these words. The first set of words are moles, molecules, ions, and atoms. Now while these words might not sound similar, in calculation questions, if you get these words wrong, for example if you're looking for moles instead of molecules, then you're going in a completely different direction and you're looking at losing 3 to 4 marks for each calculation question. Now think of what a pity it'd be if the question asks you to draw a mechanism for electrophilic substitution and you draw one for nucleophilic substitution. That's 4 marks gone. And the same goes for questions asking you to draw skeletal formulas and you start drawing displayed one. Or you just miss out on writing the equations for the 6-mark structure question. So please keep your eyes open for these tricky words inside your questions. Now tip number 3 is to know your recurring question types. If you watched my last video on biology tips, then you'll know that this will sound similar. If you've done enough past papers, then you'll be able to recognize some of the recurring questions that seem to come up every few years. It's worth taking the time to collect these questions and compare the question keywords, the answer keywords, and the suggested answers. Since they often take up a large part of your papers, especially the 6-mark questions in the Edexcel papers, if you study the marking schemes to include all the variable key points or maybe even the same equations inside your answers, then you're all set and you'll be able to hit all these questions straight on. Tip 4 is to know your numbers. There are some data and numbers that will make you just much quicker if you know them by heart. The most important ones would probably be oxidation states. Knowing the oxidation states for your common elements and their variations would make your redox equations a walk in the park. And then there are NMR fragments, the more data-oriented part of organic chemistry. By knowing what the common mass-to-charge ratios refer to in the spectrum would make piecing the formula just a lot more quicker. Now while this might not make you quicker, but it's definitely essential to know all the charges for transition ions and metals. Also, some of the more common orders on the ECS table are recommended but optional since it makes dealing with electrochem questions just a tiny bit quicker. Tip number 5 is to memorize answer and question keyword. If you open your specification, then you'll be able to find a list of question keywords and what they're actually looking for in the answers. You could go ahead and memorize these, or you could do what I did and just pick these up from practicing with past papers. Other words to look out for in questions are the content-specific ones, so the ones that are related to specific topics that are inside your textbook. If you know the concept of using memory hooks, then that's essentially what we're trying to do here. I want you to be able to see these words and just instantly recognize which specific part of what topic that belongs to, and then recall what you have to put inside the answer. The next thing is to remember the keywords that are highlighted in the marking scheme related to that topic, because those repeat whenever the same topic pops up. So however they change the rest of the question, you'll be able to see through that mask and give answers that are on point. Tip number 6 is to utilize the shortcuts. The 3 shortcuts in your arsenal for chemistry include equations, formulae, and point form. By using these, it saves you a lot of time from writing long, wordy paragraphs. Some textbooks recommend using tables as well, but I find that it easily makes you lose marks. And the same goes with point form, but it's safer if you use it with confidence and if you've practiced enough using past papers. The next shortcut isn't for your exams but more for your studying. Chemistry is an info-heavy subject, and there's a lot to memorize. And I find that a lot of the times using tables helps a lot with that. For example, in the textbook, there's this summary table that includes all the equations for organic chemistry reactions and synthesis. And when studying transition ions and metals, tables just might as well be your best friend for remembering all the charges, formulae, and the colors. Well, those are my 6 tips for getting A star in chemistry. If you need more general study tips, then be sure to check out my previous video on self-studying. If you have any ideas, thoughts, or questions, then pop in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!